this country in and of itself has processes built up for systemic racism. This country as a whole has systemic racist issues, period. No matter how you cut it, no matter how political or technical or you want to be when you're sitting on Fox News trying to narrate some shit to try to make it seem like people dumb. No. Down to how the media broadcast stuff and how they categorize some people as thugs and some people as upstanding citizens is an example of systemic racism. The media suffers from systemic racism. But yeah, all this shit is ridiculous in the end.
And let's get one thing straight. Black people can't be racist. Not in the sense of, how people want to think about it, saying like, oh, you're racist if you make fun of someone from a different race. I'm talking about in the sense of being in control of systems, as you already defined systemic racism. Being in control of anyone's livelihood, being able to directly affect that livelihood through nepotism, corporate influence, financial discrimination. Black people aren't capable of doing that. The system was never built for them to do that. Right. There's only been one set in this country that has been able to do that, and that's white people. So no one else can be racist in that sense. We're not. We've never been in a position to be an oppressor. We're incapable of being the oppressor.
Yeah.
And history has taught us who the real oppressors are, and I have no tolerance for people for people who want to dog whistle and say they've been racist. There's been prejudice against or they've experienced reverse racism. It's not a real thing.
And it's interesting to me because I've argued both sides of that before, right? Because when it comes to be a racist as it relates to a system, really what most people are being is prejudice, right? So there's time, especially, and I like that you laid out which sense you mean it in there, because that's exactly it. Like, black people aren't in a position to have a system that then oppresses another race because we feel that it's inferior, right? Now, the thing about that is that people like to latch on to, and I only say this because, like, especially in my line of work, people love words and they love policy and they love the right shit to craft it to make it, how they want. So, like, prime example, part of the definition of being a racist is a particular group that believes of another group is inferior to their race based on the racial matter. Like, that's the part that people love to latch on to. What people always forget is that the first and base of the word racist comes from the definition of a person who believes in racism, the doctrine that one's own racial group is superior, right? So you first got to be believing from that standpoint in racism. So you got to believe in the system that opposes and holds down another group that you feel inferior. A group that doesn't have a system is not in a position to have a system. Do not occupy the businesses and legal positions and write the laws to have a system. It is impossible for them to be racist. Yes, can they hateful? Think that? Yeah. Like they think that a race is inferior to that. They can do all that. Absolutely. If you want to go and run that, that's fine. But here's where I argue the other side of it too. Like, there are some black people that can be racist because there's a couple of commentators that choose to be a part of a system that upholds racism, and they're black, right? So whether they're supporting the system, they alone are not in the position to do it on their own. But I mean, prime example, like, what's the chick name that everybody hates?
Candace Owens?
Yes, like prime example. All right. So you're part of the media system that goes and puts out basically propaganda against black people when you know that the media is doing certain things specifically to oppose or shape the way that a demographic is viewed. You're part of a racist system. Like you are upholding and being part of racism, and thus, in my opinion, you're racist. Because it's just like, can't remember who was saying it. Like, if all you're putting out to people is that dogs bite, no matter what dog it is, and you just keep telling people dogs bite, when they first see a dog, all they're going to remember and think is that a dog bite, whether they know anything about dogs or not. If you're on TV talking every day about all black people are thugs and criminals, and all Mexicans that come across the border are rapists and taking your money, like, whether people like it or not, Trump's base is dumb as fuck. This is the most idiotic base of all time. He said himself that if he ever ran, he ran as a Republican because he knew they was dumb as fuck. They gonna go with whatever you tell them. You don't know shit about me.
Mm-hmm.
And by that nature, if you are a black person, and people can say whatever they want to about, oh, you shouldn't say that people cooning. Y'all motherfuckers annoy me too. Niggas out here cooning. Let's just be
100%.
And people can view that as a racist term if they want to, but we know what it means among us, and it's people out here doing it. And when you got such hate, self-hate issues that you purposely contributing to a system to hold down your own race, I can't fuck with that. You cooning. I can't fuck with that. Because then in that moment, you're being racist. You're being racist because you think that you're something that you're not, and you think that once they're done with you, they won't kick your ass out with the trash either. They will. They will. Because you already know the views of the people you're working with. And they've told
Let's
you
take a look at the word. People love to talk about words, and words do have some importance to them. Let's look at ism. What is ism? Ism represents a distinctive practice, system, or philosophy. Typically a political ideology or an artistic movement. So when you add race, what's already implied is that it's system. There's something that's been created that will widen a gap or bring something closer. That's why optimism, pessimism, capitalism. We're all talking about systems, whether it's feeling or finances.
But that's exactly why it's funny to me too, because that's how everybody always try to latch on and then try to separate the two between the ism and the ist, right? All right.
Yes.
Because it's absolutely impossible on no level whatsoever for black people to practice racism. We don't own the system.
We don't have it.
There is no way on earth we could practice racism. So people then going to be like, well, you can be racist. And that's not even, we could be prejudiced.
We could be bigoted.
Yeah, exactly. Like we can do those things, but the whole system of racism and being a part of that system is implied by you being a racist. All right, there can be some black people part of that system, but as a whole,
they can participate. They can't. They have no power.
They have no power in the system. You're just simply in the system. That's the only way people can get away with the ist. But even then, like, it's still impossible because you're going to be such a smart portion of the system that it's ridiculous.
And like you said, since we're talking about systems, anyone can participate in the system.
Anybody.
There's only a couple of people who control the system. So let's look at, when we're really talking about the modern definition of racism. And so Oxford Reference defines modern racism as covert or symbolic opposition to policies or practices designed to help a specific racial group arising from negative effect towards that members of the group.
Yep.
So again, we're talking about policies and practices. Yep. Black people can't do that. It's not possible for us to be racist in that sense.
And I'm going to go back to exactly why I end up grabbing a dude at work a couple weeks ago.
Let's say we didn't talk about that. So
yeah. We didn't talk about it, but I said I'm going to go back to it because of something that he said that really had already annoyed me before it got to where it got to. But what he said was, you all had Barack Obama. You had, he starts naming people like Condoleezza Rice and a bunch of military figures. Exactly. So he's naming people that was in influential positions, trying to imply that if they were in the position to make change, they should have. Many times, a single individual, almost all the time, a single individual is not in the position to make significant change, especially based on a cultural, demographic, religious group on their own. All right, you can push things forward publicly. Yeah, you can do a lot of other stuff, but policy wise, it usually take a group of people to approve policy. And a prime example of this would be Obama, and he didn't actually push like a lot of social change agendas. But let's just look at the shit he did push, and then consider how much of it was instantly overturned by the same system once he was gone. So even if you're in a position to make change as an individual within the system itself will come back, and in this case, self-correct based on capitalism, racism, and people being xenophobic or bigots. Like that's how the system works. It's like, all right, you can make some change, whatever, but we got the power to change it back. We got the power to stop you from making change. We got the power to do a lot of shit. So you may have the power right now to make change, but we can overrule your shit. And it's like that, like in any system. That's why you want to see, people always ask, like, why hasn't there really been any like black Bill Gates or black Buzios? I'm like, don't get me started on business and how business loans works and how businesses are set up. And let's say you're in a position to do so. The second you have to get a board, which will have to be a diversified board, the board itself can vote you out of the fucking country. Out of the company. So like, come on, what the fuck?
Capitalism was created for the benefit of white men. And capitalism, and it's not even arguable that this country is a poor example of capitalism, because in perfect capitalism there are no Jeff Bezos.
Nope.
Just like there isn't anyone that's on this. There's no homeless either. Like perfect capitalism, because everyone's operating their own self-interest. So that means there'd be opportunities for people, and there'd be equal opportunity to acquire wealth and at least a living.
And my thing with that too, man, because I was reading an article really about just the world and what stuff costs. And Jeff Bezos, for example, like I think that was the only time I really just felt just discord in relation to him being a billionaire, because they was talking about his money and how it would like cost $40 billion to end famine in most places, or even completely end Yemen. It'll cost maybe $20 billion to end homelessness in the United States. Like most of this stuff that was being done was costing less than $100 billion. Bezos got enough money to do all that stuff just about and still have $100 billion. That's fucking insane. So you could take care of most of the major problems on Earth and still have money left. And I'm sitting there even thinking about that in relation to like Bill Gates. Like Bill Gates pushed a lot of progressive agendas, and he tried to, push vaccines and do a lot of other stuff. And he spent, hundreds of millions of dollars in doing it. But even then, once again, you can spend several $1 billion, $10-20 billion and still be worth. You still have so much money you wouldn't be able to spend it in several lifetimes. But they get this wealth so they can hold on to it, because what happens to it is they get passed down, so on and so forth, and then it ends up in the hands of people like Trump. Because that's really what happened with him. That was money that was passed down. And then you end up with that one idiot that has the money that people believe for some reason can run a country, and then he ends up in office, and we get everything goes to shit. We get the raw end of the stick.
Billionaires are the main antagonists of a capitalist society, and you always have to be careful what you say, or be called communist. Like communist is an evil person. You're thinking about the people who were in control of these systems, just like any system we have.
Yeah.
Communism, fascism, the people that run it are the most evil part of it. In the case of fascism, there's plenty of stuff wrong with that, but I hate it. I hate the whole argument about, well, we have Obama, we have about Denzel Washington, because when you're evaluating data statistically, you always throw the outliers out because they're going to skew results and not give a honest representation of of the whole picture.
Yep.
So why is it whenever we talk about race relations and systemic racism in the country, it's about, well, you got Obama. I was like, nigga, it's 2020 now.
Should have had him a long time ago.
Like, what the fuck are you talking about? And what about these people that are dying at disproportionate rates? What about the black women who are dying in hospitals at a much higher rate than white women, because medical professionals feel that black women have a higher threshold for pain? And this is also a good time to say, arrest the cops who killed Breonna Taylor.
Yep.
I want justice for Elijah McClain. I want justice for George Floyd. I want justice for Ahmaud Arbery. I want justice for who else?
Everybody.
There'll be by the time this airs, there'll be another name. And
really, man, the Breonna Taylor situation in and of itself irritates me on the level. Going back to systems here, like that's one of those things. And I went on a rant about that on IG, but like that whole thing, it irritates me on just a completely different level with her situation, because it was the system itself in many ways that killed her. The system that was invented for the war on drugs is what brought the huge rise in no-knock warrants, especially pre-done no-knock warrants. What the hell you think gonna happen if you kick in somebody's door in the middle of the fucking night and they're not guilty of any crime that they know of, or that you know of for that matter sometime, and you're trying to get evidence? Like, you kick my door in, especially because I got cameras in my shit, it's going to be a shootout of epic proportions.
All I know is if my door gets kicked in, it better be by a fucking life-size picture with Kool-Aid in it, and the niggas yelling Kool-Aid.
Kool-Aid, and it better be red.
And it better be red, because if not...
it better be red.
If it's not, then we're gonna have our own Kool-Aid on the floor.
Exactly. But even that, though, think about that. So, like, even when you look at that's still capitalism, because the main thing they do with no-knock warrants is they go and get drugs, money, cars, homes, and shit they can seize related to drugs, and then the department taking it and using it. So all they're really doing is generating revenue for the fucking department. And like the shit blew my mind. He may have gotten packages at her house at some point, and he couldn't have been that significant because when you kick in her door, her other boyfriend is fucking in there. Whoever her new dude is in there. So it's probably been a while since she had a relationship with this dude. And you kicking in her door thinking that she got packages from some other dude up in her house with